Hello, and welcome to my film theory analysis video. This video will cover the 6 main topics of film theory, which are narrative, genre, auteurism, formalism, realism and allegory. I will choose a couple of films in which to apply these aspects of film theory, and hopefully by doing this, not only will our understanding and enjoyment of film be heightened, but also the appreciation of this whole unique art form. The first aspect of film theory I will cover is narrative. Most of us know what the term narrative means in general, but in terms of film theory it has a slightly different connotation. Narrative isn't just about the story, but rather the process of events and how they are perceived by us. This process usually consists of a 3-act structure, which we know to be the beginning, middle and end. There is also an alternative to the 3-act structure theorised by Bulgarian French professor Tsvetan Todorov called the 5-act structure. This 5-act structure consists of 5 acts surprisingly, and are in order: equilibrium, disruption, recognition of disruption, attempt to repair disruption, and finally reinstatement of equilibrium. The term narrative in a filmic context also has the connotation of judgment upon the series of events which make up the plot, and so therefore the term covers what the events in the story represent rather than just what actually happens. The first Godfather film is a great example of narrative in a filmic context, as the film narrative can be fit into both the 3 and 5-act structure. For the 5-act structure, it would be: number 1, equilibrium. The Don is the head of the most powerful family in New York, the Corleones, and Michael is considered an outsider by the family. Number 2, disruption. The Don refuses a lucrative drug deal from Slotso, who then orders a hit on the Don, where he is critically injured instead of being killed, and Slotso did this hoping that the next in line Sonny will accept the deal to keep the peace. Number 3, recognition of disruption. Michael and the family decide that he would be the best person to kill Slotso and the corrupt police captain, as they keep trying to kill the Don in hospital. Number 4, attempt to repair disruption. Michael kills the police captain and Slotso, where he then goes into hiding in Sicily. While there, the Don recovers and tries to broker peace. However, after this peace deal, an attempt is made on Michael's life which fails, but his secret wife he married there is killed. Sonny is also killed in a mob hit. Number 5, reinstatement of equilibrium. Michael returns and he plots with his father to take down the 5 families in an orchestrated attack. After the Don dies and Michael then initiates the attack, which is successful, Michael consolidates his power, but at the cost of his morality. There's also 2 specific codes in narrative theory that help us identify events which propel the narrative further. The first code is proeretic, essentially action, and in The Godfather, this would be when the Don is shot and critically injured, causing the events of the film to happen, therefore propelling the narrative further. The second code is hermeneutic, the mystery code, and in The Godfather, this would be the mystery of who would betray Michael by suggesting he meet with Barzini, where he would then be assassinated. The second aspect of film theory is genre, and genre theory proposes that films can be labelled under certain subcategories due to them sharing similar conventions such as narrative, setting, characterisation, basic themes, iconography and filmic techniques. Conventions are essentially an element that is present in film that the audience can identify immediately. This is all self-explanatory stuff, but an example of genre in film would be The Good, The Bad and The Ugly and Rio Bravo. Both films fall firmly under the Western genre due to films sharing genre conventions such as cowboy hats, pistols, horses, shootouts, barren desert towns and Western music. Nowadays, many films try to extend audience interest in genre through a multitude of ways, such as splicing 2 genres together to make a subgenre, like in the case of Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead, which is a combination of romantic comedy and horror, or rom-com zom as used by the film's tagline. Auteurism or auteur theory is our third aspect of film theory. Auteur, coming from the French word for author, is basically the theory that the director is the main creative and distinctive force behind their film, as they are responsible for the 3 main factors: style, subject matter and technical competence. The style of a film can be regarded as the director's signature due to containing recurring characteristics highlighting the way a director thinks and feels in the subject matter. The subject matter, or interior meaning, is essentially what type of message the film and therefore the director is trying to get across. For example, Rocky's interior meaning is not about winning, but rather going the distance and pushing yourself to be your best, which is more important than winning. A director's technical competence relates to how well the film is made technically. For example, if the film's editing and cinematography are of a sufficient standard or not. A famous film theorist that was key to auteur theory's development was Alexander Astrug, and in 1948 he wrote La Camera Stylo, the fountain pen, and in this he argued that directors wield a camera in the same vein that a novelist wields a pen, and the directors were developing their own unique filmic language in which they could convey their ideas. Auteur theory does have its critics, however, such as Pauline Kael, who argued that auteur theory privileges the director and that, especially in the case of multi-million-dollar productions, filmmaking is a collaborative process that involves producers, screenwriters, cinematographers and editors, for example. Formalism in terms of film theory is a style which argues that cinema's unique aesthetics and artistic value comes comes from its ability to essentially reshape reality. Formalists believe that the most important thing is the power and beauty of the image, and that the visual presentation should be heavily stylized. Formalism also proposes that the story is an expression of a personal vision, and that the multiple elements present in filmmaking can affect the audience emotionally and intellectually. An example of formalism being present in a film would be Annihilation. In the film, a shimmer surrounds a swampland that prevents anything entering from returning, and is revealed to be of extraterrestrial origin. As the film progresses, it is shown that the shimmer refracts DNA from everything inside and outside of the area, which means every living thing mutates as their genes have been spliced. The film's climax results in a psychedelic, trance-like sequence where the protagonist encounters, fights, and ultimately destroys the alien. The film was formalist, as it uses visuals as a primary way to convey interior meaning. For example, when Anya starts to mutate and leaves begin to sprout from her arms, she begins to find peace in her situation, and as the protagonist chases her, she becomes indistinguishable from the human-shaped trees. These visuals convey the idea of her finding peace through the beautiful, natural representation of flowers and nature, which literally sprout from her, and she then transitions into nature itself, representing her achieving peace. A key theorist in formalism was Rudolf Arnheim, and he argued that film doesn't just mechanically record reality, but actually changes the way we perceive it due to the manipulative way in which the filmmaking process can work. Realism is the opposite of formalism in that it proposes that art is in fact an attempt to capture reality, and that since the camera and cinema have the ability to be photorealistic, filmmakers have a duty to represent reality through the camera unfiltered. Realists are aware that although the image is not the thing itself, it is its truest representation, and that expressive editing is intrusive as well as manipulative. Therefore, realist technique aims to be as unobtrusive as possible. To convey realism in film, several techniques are used, such as long takes, deep focus, location shooting, natural lighting, minimal editing, and non-professional actors. An example of a realist film would be the 1948 Italian film Bicycle Thieves. Directed by Vittorio De Sica, the film is about a man who must search for a stolen bike so that he can keep his job in post-World War II Italy. The film utilises many realist techniques, such as non-professional actors in lead roles, being shot on location, minimal editing, natural lighting, and its focus on societal issues such as poverty and crime. A key film theorist who helped develop realism, André Bazin, and he was a French theorist who wrote about the development of filmic language. His most prominent work includes What is Cinema, Volumes 1 and 2. Bazin felt that montage editing, used frequently in films, was in fact manipulation of the audience, and that interpretation of a film should be left up to the viewer. He also argued that since film could more accurately portray reality than a photograph or painting, it was more truthful and therefore art. Allegory, the last key concept in film theory, is defined by Cambridge Dictionary as a story, play, poem, picture, or other work in which the characters and events represent particular qualities or ideas related to morality, religion, or politics. Allegory, in film at least, is essentially an extended metaphor which should be conveyed by the text as a whole, since small metaphorical acts or events do not automatically make a film allegorical. When talking about film in terms of allegory, there are several key terminological phrases that help distinguish aspects of allegory. The first, metaphor, means action, as these are what the small, standalone actions in a film would be conveying. An example of this in a film would be in the film Robocop, specifically at the end of the film, when he is asked his name and he replies Murphy for the first time, indicating that he has regained his humanity. The second term is symbol, meaning object. A symbol in film is an object used to express or convey a particular idea. For example, in Citizen Kane, the titular character, childhood sled, is revealed to be Rosebud, which is a symbol of his childhood and the only time that he was happy in his life, despite his massive success and wealth. The final term is motif, which is a collection of related metaphors or symbols. An example of motif in film would be in Blade Runner. Characters' eyes are consistently shown in extreme close-up, and this is meant to convey the idea of humanity and having a soul, since in order to detect a replicant, a test is performed on them which involves studying their eyes, as eyes are referred to as the windows of the soul. I hope that this video has expanded your knowledge of film as an art form and why it should be regarded as one of, if not the, most expressive medium by which we can express anything we can imagine. If not, well, I hope it's at least been entertaining with some cool film clips.